What is up, guys? Welcome to Truth and Transparency Friday night. Welcome to the new members. I see a couple of you guys in chat just got your memberships to the channel. Thank you. Thank you for the subscribers being here, the members being here, obviously the moderators holding it down. Got lots to chat about, so let's see what's up. Want to give a special shout out to the weekly winner of the best dressed apparel. She said I could say her name. Check out the community tab. It was a Snapbacks and Facts limited edition. It only went out to like 4 people. And Fight for a Family, first 4. A New Orleans lady. Go check it out. She said I could say her name. She gave me permission, as well as her picture with the snapback is on there. So again, welcome. Thank you. Good to see all of you guys. Got a video here for you guys. I'm going to play the video first. This is an exclusive. No one has this video. It's a homemade video. Check it out. Where is that white Elantra? How many white Elantras? This video is straight out of Moscow. Straight out of the landings, Clearwater landings. Oh, there's a white Elantra, but take a look at this. That vehicle right there, again, looks like the car, in my opinion, very similar. A little bit of tinted windows there that you can see from the band field. But anyways, in this apartment complex, two vehicles that look like an Elantra, one that is an Elantra. Okay. This is one of the apartment complexes off of White Ave. All right. White Ave turns into Steiner. This is just literally just right down the street from the mobile Exxon gas station where the 345 camera seen the white Elantra. This is where not only can you find a white Elantra here, like I said, you can find vehicles that look like a white Elantra, but you can also find a sheriff deputy trooper vehicle here. I'll show it next. And you can also find in the behind parking lot, there was an Elantra by the Safeway. But there's law enforcement living here. There are allegedly drug buyers, drug dealers, college kids. But this is right in the areas where the victims would hang out, as well as Creekside Apartments, which I will get to. But went ahead and took a stroll, and here you go. What's up, Austin? Oh, there it is. Let's take a look at this now. I'm going to show you guys some pictures. Here we go. All right. So just as I was saying before, okay, this is that mobile gas station right there. Okay. That's the 345. There you go. That's the camera that got the picture of the white Elantra. White becomes, okay, take a look. I'm going to go to that one next in a second. White Avenue, so I'll back us all out so you guys can see it, but White Avenue becomes Steiner right here when it crosses over. Right here just becomes Steiner, okay? You can see all of this in the PCA. They're talking that they say that at, 328, they have it, that white Elantra, okay, is on camera. And I'm going to go play like the little clips or whatever, but I'm going to go one step further for you guys. Here you go. So what I did here is to show you guys, I think there's actually a little bit of a picture right here. Okay. So over here where the dot is, if you go the back roads, and that's kind of, what's been said has happened. But when you go a straight shot, instead of going, if you went White Avenue to Steiner to get over to King, that's going to be in blue. But to go the back roads, see where the red is, you could take the back through the red, and then you would make a left to cross over 8. And that could bring you back to the back roads over there where the apartments are. But this vehicle kept on looping in a sense. And just kind of wanted you guys to see the path here. And what's way more obvious and feasible, plausible, possible is, did this white Elantra come from the apartment complex? So I'm going to go ahead and do. Now, here you go. Same apartment complex. There is none other than your Sheriff Latah County Deputy vehicle. Make sure you guys are seeing that. Right there. Straight out of Compton, straight out of Idaho. There it is. Can't make it up. Cannot make it up. Cannot make it up. Same complex, just round back. When we put boots on the ground, we put boots on the ground. Again, this is going to be the apartment complex, White Ave, the 2300 block, tons of activity. Then I should say that like the 2100 block is the next apartment complex over. And again, you guys, same thing. These are the two apartment complexes are right next to each other. This is where the kids hang out. This is where you have, obviously Idaho students hanging out there, but also law enforcement lives here at these places. And let's go back to, for whatever reason, somebody keeps on changing the name of the Idaho, like the 1111 or 1122 King. They keep changing the name. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they keep naming this piece of property. So by the way, it was something else last week. Now it's something else this week. This is the house right here that has the Ring camera. When the vehicle would pass, you see that you got this Queen Road over here, because in front it's technically King, but whatever. Queen Road comes back up in here and back through here behind the house, and you can turn around. But also, you can also make it all the way through if you kept on going. So the PCA is very misleading on where, the turns and someone turning around and this, that, and the other. They've gotten way too cute with the PCA. It's the point of, are you lying? Not lying, but are you misguiding? Are you misguiding? So I wanted to get to the bottom of, are there white Elantras that are back on White Avenue in those apartment complexes? And yes, there are. There are white Elantras back there. That's where the mobile gas station is picking up the white Elantra at 345. And there's law enforcement living as neighbors back there in those same apartment complexes. And one of them was the first responding officer to 1122 King. So don't take my word for it. Take the video evidence of it, because it's right here. Now, what does that mean? Well, I just don't want to talk about a white Elantra anymore. Okay, a white Elantra didn't kill anybody. People kill people. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, wow, Ashley Banfield last night coming out with her source, which, God, you gotta scratch your head if the source isn't none other than Kernoodle's mother. But she did say that there was a couple of them. I don't care who they are as long as they're telling the truth. I think that's been the problem this whole time, is for whatever reason, law enforcement has not been telling the truth. And we can say that. And they're allowed to lie. Absolutely, they can lie. Law enforcement is allowed to lie. But the question is why? Why do you need to lie? That, to me, is the question. You want to lie? Boom. So I want to go ahead and play last night's, new information that came out, which, does it contradict the PCA, or do they just get wordy in a way that they can cover themselves? And let's take a look at it.
So those. And welcome to this Thursday edition of Banfield. I want to begin with some breaking news on the Idaho murder case. A couple of sources with knowledge of the investigation have told News Nation some details that up until now we did not know. Let me lay a few of these details out, but I do want to warn you that this is graphic information and it is uncomfortable to hear this because we're talking about innocent kids who were killed in that home back in October. And not only that, this is evidence that likely will come out in court at some point. Whether it will be germane to who the killer is or not, that remains to be seen. But it could be evidence nonetheless. With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number one, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, were killed first, and they confirmed that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were killed on the second floor afterwards. And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana.
Okay. We're gonna pause it there. We're just gonna rip it out here. Do I think that this person could be possibly telling the truth with this source? Absolutely. You want to know why? Because it's this case, without a doubt. Could they be telling the truth? Also, it brings the next question because I'm going to jump from a couple different showings of what people have said, and I think that's been the issue with. There's been all these sources and all these, criminal profilers and experts, and everybody's been talking about stuff since the beginning of this case, but if indeed it happened this way, let's go back to the PCA. And when they talk about the way that Ethan was killed, and I remember all the language was a little bit different for each. And I believe that Officer Payne was more or less quoting the Emmy, if you want my opinion, from the Emmy's reports, maybe on stuff, the autopsies and stuff like that, when this was filled out. But there's different language because it could have been from the different types of wounds. They could have all been killed with a knife, but maybe they were one of them was sliced, throat or stabbed and tears. And so the language could be different. And then Payne's using and quoting the language that was in the coroner's or the Emmy's report with the autopsies. But the question then comes, and it is very, very much, you have to ask this now. How in the world would there be no screaming? How in the world is there no screaming? If Ethan is killed first, you're telling me that Ethan and Xana were in that room together. Ethan gets killed in the middle of the doorway. Well, where's Xana? We know she's up, right? She got a DoorDash allegedly. She has a DoorDash at 4. Her phone's on, TikTok's working, and blah, blah, blah. There's no screaming. Nobody's screaming. Nobody's trying to get to their phone. I could see if, the girls upstairs, if they were sleeping, as far as Kaylee and Madison go. But when you come down and you listen to this, and we're also going to listen back to what, Xana's father said, that she fought like hell. She was in, the people downstairs, they went to war. And then you listen to the things that have been said, and then you listen to and then you read the PCA, and you're just like blown away, right? Because it was one thing to sleep through it downstairs on the first floor because you went to bed because you thought people were partying, but then you locked your doors. Like, we're going to get to all of that. But here to find out that, no, you were on the second floor. Your room's like right there. And then like you're opening the door 3 different times. It can coming out. Like, this is not, this is not something that that somebody wouldn't be screaming for help, not like crying. Okay. Because I don't think that you would be the point that you're crying yet. If you're witnessing your boyfriend being murdered with a knife because you get to him first, or whatever reason he would have been up in the middle of the doorway. But then Xana's there in the bed. What time did this happen? And now when you hear this, how much time do you think this would have taken? Now let's talk about the time frame that they want this to have happened. And you guys, it basically equals, this doesn't make sense. This is not logical. None of this is logical. And we have every right to question what we're ever told from media, from law enforcement, because guess what? They can lie to us. They are allowed to lie to us. So you are allowed to question it because they're allowed to lie. We can question. And when you don't, you're a fool. Questioning something is you do it in a respectful manner and you just say, hey, what's up, XYZ. Thank you there for that super chat. What is it? A super sticker? Thank you there. Appreciate you. That was very kind. So let's go back to this.
Sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun.
And now if we go back to the original stuff, which was that people thought that someone was unconscious and that they were just laying there, that they were unconscious. There had been rumored at the beginning that they saw that somebody was in the middle of the door. But then you go back to Miss Mabbitt. Oh, everybody was in their beds. Was she told to lie, or did she just lie on her own? Why not just say, I can't discuss that?
These sources also say that Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck. But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this program exclusively. And also, they conflict directly with what police have said as well. And those two facts that are in conflict are that all of the victims were in their beds, according to police and the coroner. And according to the coroner, all of the injuries were stab wounds and not slash wounds. So I just want to play for you exactly what it was the coroner said in her words. Were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds.
What?
And they were definitely stabbings.
Can you tell me when you say that they might have been?
Okay, right there. These were pretty. This is a pretty big knife. For her to even make that comment, I'm going, not your normal like 6-inch knife. I'm going, okay, this is a pretty big knife. How big we talking here? I don't know if you guys, thank you very much. Tammy, very kind. Appreciate that. Very, very much so. Boots on the ground over here. Thank you. But a very, very large knife. I'm going to show you guys the knife that Scott Roeder had on my channel back a month after the killings. I'm really excited for you guys to see episode 1 on Sunday of the documentary that I'm putting together. It's real time. It's a real investigation of everything I did and as I did it. So that's why when I put out videos and you guys don't understand them, it all comes together, and I promise you that you will, because I break it down like you're in 3rd grade. And not because I think you're in 3rd grade, just because I want it to be crystal clear. So is Ashley Banfield wrong? Hell no, she's not wrong. She's absolutely right. She's calling people out for what? Wait a second. You said this then, and then you said this there, and then you said this. I mean, what the F is going on? And that's all I've ever wanted. I wanted somebody in mainstream media to challenge what has been going on, because you have the platform to be reached, that people, like, you can get it out there. And people may hate Ashley Banfield, people may like her, whatever. But at least she's challenging this narrative. She's challenging what has been told, what has been said, and just shit is not adding up. It's that simple. And you can say, oh, you can say whatever you want out there, and oh, they can't tell us everything. You guys, what they have told us. Stop saying they haven't told us this and that and the other. It's what they have told us. It does not add up against each other. Okay. So yes, they are allowed to lie to us. 100%. That's why I'm urging you to ask questions. Do not believe it all. Let's go back to this.
Been sleeping. Were they found in beds?
Yes.
You hear that pause there? You guys hear that pause? Yes. You hear that pause though? That was a little hesitation there. That was a little hesitation. Why? I don't know if she chose to answer it that way on her own, or if she was told to answer it that way. But yes. What? Now go watch the Chapin's first interview, and she never says that she never says that Ethan's in a bed. She says they're in the same room. She never says that they're in the same bed. And I'm going to show you guys a couple other things because I'm with Banfield on this. I thank you there, Michelle. Appreciate that. Very, very kind. Very much appreciated. Like I said, you can love her, you can hate her. I'm right with her because she's challenging logic. She's like, no, guys, what's up? What's up? And she's not wrong. Whatever it is, the narrative that we think is in that PCA, yeah. Now let's go to something else. I'm gonna finish it out here. Let her say her last bit.
So those were the facts that the coroner told us. And like I said, it is in direct conflict with what these two sources familiar with the investigation are now telling us as well.
And it's also in direct conflict for what people were saying that students had said, allegedly.
Obviously needs to be sorted out and likely best in a court of law as well. I also want to tell you these other details that we have learned from these two sources, that Xana Kernodle put up a fierce fight when the attacker set upon her, repeatedly grabbing the attacker's knife, so much so that she sustained deep cuts to her fingers and that her fingers were nearly severed. Now, that is something that I was told the same. And in fact, like almost completely off, like her thumb, like not even like there anymore. Like, I'm not trying to be like too graphic, but just so you guys can understand it. Heard that in the beginning. Again, I'll tell you about being a web sleuth. When stuff comes out in the beginning of a case, it is either A, completely fucking wrong, or B, something that is so special and privy to information that it's that right and they said something that they shouldn't have, and they either try to retract that in a way, but it goes one of two ways. That what I have seen when stuff comes out in a new case that's breaking because people don't know what they can and can't say. People don't know, oh my God, I said too much, things like that. But everything that she just said right there is everything that I heard from people that without a doubt I believe. So what that is indicative though of what she just said, we are talking about a knockdown, drag out fight, and you're not screaming. There's no words being said. There's no screaming for help. I get it. Kaylee and Maddie, they can't help. They are dead. Okay. But Bethany, Dylan, now everything that I have investigated, I said it since day one. I said, I want to know where the surviving roommates' cars are. Where are their vehicles? People said they didn't have vehicles. They didn't have vehicles. Bullshit. I believe that Bethany had a vehicle, and I want to know where it is. I want to know where it was. Who has a parking lot like that and does not park in their parking lot? If that's my house, I'm not parking on the street. You can get hell bent if I'm parking in the street and your boyfriend is parking in the lot. Yeah, right. Not happening. Where were those surviving roommates' vehicles? Because they were not there. They were not in that lot. People say, hey, Dylan doesn't have a car. Well, you guys told me that Dylan's bedroom was on the first floor, and I told you it wasn't. And who's right? Me. So do not believe everything that you're told. And hey, you want to help? Go find those vehicles because they were not in the parking lot. So where were they? Maybe Dylan doesn't have a vehicle, but my investigation puts Bethany having a vehicle. Where is it? Where was it? Because it should be in that parking lot right where their house is, period. And it's not. It was not taken away. It was not in, they didn't go through it. In fact, they went through two of the Chapin's vehicles. Where was the surviving roommates'
vehicles to go through, to be taken somewhere. Because remember, then they move these vehicles. The same day that they basically find Brian Kohlberger's car, they move these vehicles to a more secure location to then still be processed. Wow. During an active investigation, the police chief picks up a U-Haul, comes over to the house, waltzes in, and takes out memorabilia of the victims to give to their families. In an active investigation, goes into an active crime scene to take stuff out of the home. I've never heard of such a thing. And what were those items? But yet you keep talking about, hey, we got to keep the integrity of this. We can't do this. Integrity, my ass. There's no integrity there. You're coming in and taking stuff out of an active crime scene. Why? Why? Let's take a look.
Does actually work in comport with what Xana's father had reported to an Arizona news outlet about what he knew. Thank you for watching.
All right, guys, next up, check it out. Okay, here we go. Take a look at this, because this is by far one of my favorite videos that Miss Banfield's done on this case. And I feature it in episode 1 a little bit. So here, take a look, a little sneak peek.
Also, you mentioned that the analysis unit is here. Will we be able to hear anything from them about a working profile they possibly have? And on that note, have you guys ruled out the possibility that the killer might be a female?
What's up, Bella? How you
So we
doing,
look
baby?
at every avenue. We're looking at every group of people.
Police really didn't answer that. It didn't seem to me, anyway, that it really occurred to them. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But I'm joined now by former Louisiana homicide detective Rodney Demery, who now hosts the podcast Murder Chose Me. Rod, you think this killer might, in fact, be a woman? When the odds are completely stacked against that theory, why do you think that?
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's very likely it could be a female. The type of crime, I think the thought is that it's a mass murder or maybe some sort of serial killer, but the reality is it sounds like a passionate crime to me. I think it was someone that had a rage, a certain passion to create such violence. The wrong assumption is that could be a male. More than likely it's a female or a same-sex type relationship or something along those lines.
You think a lot of women get away with murder? Because just like me, I usually think it's a man, and so do authorities.
Yeah, I think women, not necessarily do they get away with it, but I think it's...
Okay, I have to say something. So when Ashley Banfield says this answer or question rather, it made me think of Mike Drop and Mama. She sounds identical to Mike Drop and Mama for whatever reason when she asks this question or says this statement. And I was like, oh my God, is that Mike Drop and Mama? Take a listen.
Authorities.
Yeah, I think women, not necessarily...
Because just like me, I usually think it's a man, and so do authorities.
Yeah, I think...
I just have to give a shout out to Mike Drop and Mama right there. If you're in chat, love. Let me just say that right there, that is her voice. So I want to know if you secretly got into Miss Banfield there for just a couple seconds, and if you were really asking that question to, her Idaho murder mystery guest here. I was like, is that Mike dropping? I had to rewind it. You guys should, kid you not, this right here, this is her voice. One more time.
You think a lot of women get away with murder because, just like me, I usually think it's
that laugh. That's her. God. And I just maybe need you guys to have, listen to Mike Droppin's voice and when she does that little laugh. But that was for you. If Mike Droppin is not in chat, how devastating that she did not just hear this amazing shout out right here. But I think it's the laugh. I think that little laugh is what, I mean, neither would I, talking about could the killer be a woman?
Along those lines.
You think a lot of women get away with murder because, just like me, I usually think it's a man, and so do authorities.
Men.
Yeah, I think women, not necessarily do they get away with it, but I think it's probably a delay, because the first thought or the first assumption is a male. And that suspect can actually avoid detection for quite a while.
Rod, one of the things I've been noticing, and of course, look, it's the age of social media, and girls in college are all over social media, and these girls had.
Okay, so the next stop right here is now I'm going to talk about Hot Ham Radio and New Orleans Lady, who I love, great people. So New Orleans Lady, she is sending me stuff. She's like, Lana, have you seen where these girls go shopping? These girls have, I went ham on their social medias and I started paying attention to their clothes. And then I started looking up where these outfits were possibly from. And we're talking like $500 handbags. So she's over here. She's like, where are they getting the money to buy these outfits and accessories? And I'm over here like, what? In a good way, what? Is Mike Droppin back in here? Did someone tell her? Yes, good. Glad she's in here. So New Orleans Lady went, after all the social media and took literally everything that these girls were wearing, ever had on, and went through and was like, I'm going to find where these outfits are from. And she did. She found out. And she was sending me pictures. And she was like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this on the rack? Did you see this? But the moral of the story is where are you getting this money from in college to buy this type of stuff? Thank you there for the new membership there. Welcome, Amber. Welcome to the TNT family. We're dynamite over here. Again, you guys, families can have money and stuff like that. I don't know if, they're given like cards or whatever, but like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if your family has money or not. It's how are they giving it to you? So you can't have it both ways, though. You can't say, oh, Dylan and Bethany didn't have cars. They were in college. And I'm just like, Bethany's parents have a $1.4 million house in Nevada. Okay, 1.4 mil. Let me tell you something. If my parents had a 1.4 mil house and I didn't have a freaking beater car in college, I'd be one pissed off girl. I'll tell you that. I'd be like, what the hell? But I'm rocking like designer stuff. Come on now. But Mike Droppin, make sure you rewind that so you can see how you and Ashley Banfield. Same. Let's go back to listen to Mr. Rod here.
So much social media. They're beautiful. They've got beautiful vehicles. Kaylee bought a Range Rover. She was expecting to start a new job, in the new year. Do you think there's a potential for jealousies because of this? And that's maybe why police should be looking towards other women who see these lives that they think are so much better than theirs?
I think that's a real possibility. Social media obviously creates some sort of violence, but I think it's more likely.
Okay, so I want everybody to know this. I thought he said social media creates some sort of violence. He says biased, okay? Not violence. Because I was like, wait, social media creates violence, does it? I mean, I think he meant to say biased, like, but I don't. If he says violence, then we're gonna have to ask him.
A relationship type crime, and I think the police probably have a pretty good indication who it is. I just think they're not speaking about it.
Interesting, huh? Interesting.
10 seconds left. Any chance it's just the boogeyman? It's just the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. It's just the Ted Bundys. What do you think of that?
I would say probably not. It's definitely someone within their close inner circle.
Right there. Okay. I thought he said violence. So did I. And I was like, maybe he said biased, you know. How about both? Yeah. There we go. We'll go both ways. Again, welcome everybody to Truth and Transparency. Today, talking about the mainstream media coming out with a little bit of thunder, talking about, you know, basically saying, hey, Ashley Banfield's calling it as she sees it. I love it. Kudos to her. Hey, what's up? Something's not right. We got XYZ and it's not matching. But now how could you possibly get away with you take pictures when you go to the crime scene? How are you going to get it possibly around the fact of this crime scene has to match what they put in a PCA, right? Thank you there, Kevin. That is awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. That is going to do wonders for my gas tank in Moscow the next time there, and driving around and being Jonathan Lee Richards Jr. over here. I'll play it back so you guys can hear that again. Right there.
Dahmers of the world. It's just the Ted Bundys. What do you think of that?
I would say probably not. It's definitely someone within their close inner circle.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
I think it's more likely a relationship type crime, and I think the police probably have a pretty good indication who it is. I just think they're not speaking about it.
So much social media. They're beautiful. They've got beautiful vehicles. You know, Kaylee bought a Range Rover. She was expecting to start a new job, you know, in the new year. Do you think there's a potential for jealousies because of this? And that's maybe why police should be looking towards other women who see these lives that they think are so much better than theirs?
I think that's a real possibility. Social media obviously creates some sort of violence, but I think it's more likely.
I think it's a throw up for me. What do you guys think? Your guys' thoughts there. Violence, biased, how about both, right? Again, thank you for that super sticker. Pixlame, is that it? Wait, violence. I'm gonna go with my little nephew used to say his name is Vincent, and he'd call himself Vincent. So he definitely said violence. He did? Okay. Oh my God, it was violence. I know, right? So it was interesting to hear that. I'm glad we backed it up. I don't know, but I certainly think it causes violence. Interesting. Women can be killers too. Look at what happened to the group who went to Mexico. One girl beat up a friend to death. Both are women. Absolutely. Absolutely. He said some sort of violence. There we go. Some sort of violence. Social media creates violence. You know, what is up there, Mia? How you doing there? Good to see you in chat, love. Mia, hard worker there over on her channel. Good to see you in here. Love your face. Love your heart. Keep it up, girl. So again, right here, saying that it's not a Jeffrey Dahmer of the world. We're talking about passion. We're talking about someone that's going to be in the, in the circle. That's what came out on, from this profiler, this expert here. And women account for 11% of U.S. murder cases. 11% is 11%. Next up. Let me see. I'm going to show you guys. Again, there's just two more little clips here I wanted to play. Getting close to, and I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek for what you guys are up for on Sunday. Amber, I just want to say thank you for bringing amazing content. I don't subscribe to a lot of channels, but I couldn't help it. I love your channel. Amazing. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. You guys, to convict somebody, obviously, the state does not need to have motive. But if I'm on a jury, there's no way that we're not talking about motive, especially if we're talking about murder, in my opinion. And I'm going to say, why would somebody want to do this? What's the purpose? I mean, even if you're going to come at me and say this was a thrill kill, why did this happen? What was going on around this happening? So it wasn't until November 16th and November 18th of 2022 that I said, hey, I want to investigate this case because something is up. And it came when the prosecutor said a couple things, and then the police immediately, Moscow Police Department, went out and was like, oh my God, we need to say something to say, no, that was just miscommunication, blah, 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 blah. Then you have a press conference on November 16th and literally are fumbling all over like the questions that were asked. Simple questions like, who called 911? How many people were in the house? Wait, there were people in the house? What? And it made the police chief either look like he did the best acting of his life or he's an idiot and incompetent. That's what it looked like. It's one way or the other. Either he was playing a role or he really had no idea what was going on. Like he answered that, we don't know. We don't, just watch it. But that's what made me want to cover this case, but not just cover it, but investigate it. And that's what the documentary that I'm doing is all about, is when stuff started happening, then what was I doing? And that's how I break it down. That's why you guys are seeing those little tidbits. Kevin, thank you again. Where are we going out tonight, Big Kev? Thank you so much. Tian says, Lana, take care of your precious voice. Lemon, honey, whiskey. I've been told that people like the raspy voice though, so they said it's sexy, so I kind of got to go with it. New member there, thank you very much. I hate that on my end when I'm in StreamYard, it's always on a delay. So but again, guys, the screaming, there's no screaming. Come on. You'd be screaming. You'd be screaming. If you're able to fight like that she was able to fight the way that she was, these aren't people that died in their sleep as it was reported. But let's go talk about the TikTok, the timeline with that. Let's talk about the DoorDash. All this stuff is going on, and there's just so much fucking bullshit, man. That's the best way I can say it. It's just all just crazy. Even as far as to the beginning of this, when that Twitch video went viral, and why not just release the Adam video to show even just the girls walking with Jack Showalter? Show that. And then guess what? Nobody bothers him. You don't have to go out there and publicly clear anybody of anything, that early on. And I always said, why would they do that? They're not telling us anything, but they want to come out and start clearing people, but they're not telling the public anything. That just to me seemed off. What are they? These people are just offering up their DNA. That means they have DNA to even like have something to go against. But you don't need to say anything. Just release the Adam video, and it takes care of the Twitch video, because then nobody's thinking that kid's stalking anybody. He was walking with them. Nobody would have done any videos about that. I think that would have seemed pretty normal, because it made it seem like that he just arrived there and then just stood there and didn't order anything. No, he walked with them. But why not just release that? And if you don't want to release what was being said, then just release it without audio. Yep, great. That's exactly what this podcast is kind of going to do. It's going to lay out everything and do it in like what we do know. Basically at the end of the conclusion of each episode, it's going to be, but this is what came out in the PCA. So I think that a lot of you guys will enjoy it. Scorpio Queen, I think that you're probably right. Just my opinion, it was more going on that night and things may have just went left. I think that definitely is a strong possibility. A lot was always going on. You guys remember a guy by the name of Mark Furman? He talked about this case. I thought to myself, what is Mark Furman doing? Like, who would ever believe Mark Furman? He committed perjury, for heaven's sakes. Now we're just supposed to believe everything he says now. They're like, oh, Mark Furman, he lives in Idaho now, and Mark Furman's going to tell us what he thinks about this. But it wasn't even about what he thought about it. He said he talked to somebody. You know what I mean? It was just like he was like investigating or something. At the end of the day, Mark Furman talked about this case, and it wasn't so much what Mark Furman talked about with the whole like stalker with Kaylee thing. It was something else that he said. And here we go. I think it's ready to go. I'm going to show you guys a little snippet of the beginning of episode 1. Ocean's 11. Yes, the OJ case. Yeah, that's what actually got me hooked on this. All of this was watching that with my aunt over that summer. So let's see. I think it's ready to go. Okay, it is. I want you guys to check this out. But again, really quick, those of you guys that just joined, this was earlier. White Ave apartment complex, looking for, I believe that there was going to be white Elantras there. There are white Elantras there. And law enforcement's living there. Actually, 2 separate agencies, neighbors. And this is exactly where I believe this area was where this white Elantra was coming from. Thank you there, Justice. I feel Dylan must have heard screaming. Absolutely. If she was there. Hawaii 808 super sticker. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Check it out. There it is. There it is. Okay, now check it out. Check it out. Let's go with this one. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Have you guys ruled out the possibility that the killer might be a female?
So we look at every avenue. We're looking at every group of people.
Police really didn't answer that. It didn't seem to me, anyway, that it really occurred to them. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But I'm joined now by former Louisiana homicide detective Rodney Demery, who now hosts the podcast Murder Chose Me. Rod, you think this killer might, in fact, be a woman? When the odds are completely stacked against that theory, why do you think that?
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's very likely it could be a female. The type of crime, I think the thought is that it's a mass murder or maybe some sort of serial killer, but the reality is it sounds like a passionate crime to me. I think it was someone that had a rage, a certain passion to create such violence. The wrong assumption is that could be a male. More than likely it's a female or a same-sex type relationship or something along those lines.
You think a lot of women get away with murder? Because, just like me, I usually think it's a man, and so do authorities.
Yeah, I think women, not necessarily do they get away with it, but I think it's probably a delay, because the first thought or the first assumption is a male. And that suspect can actually avoid detection for quite a while.
Rod, one of the things I've been noticing, and of course, look, it's the age of social media, and, girls in college are all over social media, and these girls had so much social media. They're beautiful. They've got beautiful vehicles. Kaylee bought a Range Rover. She was expecting to start a new job, in the new year. Do you think there's a potential for jealousies because of this? And that's maybe why police should be looking towards other women who see these lives that they think are so much better than theirs?
I think that's a real possibility. Social media obviously creates some sort of violence, but I think it's more likely a relationship type crime. And I think the police probably have a pretty good indication who it is. I just think they're not speaking about it.
10 seconds left. Any chance it's just the boogeyman? It's just the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world? It's just the Ted Bundys? What do you think of that?
I would say probably not. It's definitely someone within their close inner circle.
When the news broke of the University of Idaho homicides, just about every news outlet had their entire broadcast revolving around these brutal murders that occurred on November 13th, 2022. Well, not only did mainstream media have their productions geared around the University of Idaho murders, but all the YouTube channels that were in the true crime genre, the web sleuths of the world, as people refer to them as. And I am one of them.
All right, who's responsible here? Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Again, my name is Lan Oriani, and my YouTube channel is Truth and Transparency. This documentary takes you behind the scenes with me and covers everything that I did in criminal profilers. So how you run your YouTube channel and how mainstream media runs their broadcast, they're very similar, except for this is a blackout for purpose. I think a perfect example for the Idaho 4 case for me is the fact that I have had Scott Roeder on my channel. Scott Roeder is one of the world's best crime scene reenactment personnel. Hands down, one of the world's best Prosecution uses him. Defenses have used him. He has been in a lot of high-profile cases. He has been the source on national broadcasts. And Scott Roeder was here on my channel a couple different times now during the Idaho 4 case as one of the experts that I have leaned on.
It's not unusual to hear somebody make a noise at 4 a.m. You know, but I think it's important that every lead gets followed up on. And the thing that's really tragic is the window. You know, we've all heard, 48 hours is the most important time after a murder.
Isn't that crazy?
To find out who, to catch the killer.
Yeah.
Right? And it's been almost a month now, or how long has it been? Over a month. This whole community ran for the hills after this happened.
Yep.
So there's no way to do a head count of who's there still versus who's not there that should be there.
Exactly.
Who called 911? We're learning that the caller was not, repeat, not either of the two roommates who live in the house and apparently slept through the massacre. So the mystery is, who did make that 911 call to police, and how did that person make the gruesome discovery? I spoke with County Prosecutor Bill Thompson.
It's an essential part of the case. Whoever discovered the scene first, whoever initiated the contact with law enforcement is all part of understanding what occurred and the timeline of what occurred.
He told me the two roommates may have critical information.
The investigators are already talking to them and trying to get from them everything they can possibly remember about what they may have seen, what they may have heard, what their activities were, what they know about the activities of their housemates.
A new wrinkle, former LAPD detective Mark Furman, yes, that Mark Furman from the O.J. Simpson trial, now lives in Idaho and is claiming that victim Kaylee Gonsalves had a stalker.
I talked to one student, and I agree with this. It was twice removed from the person that said it, Kaylee, but Kaylee 2 months ago complained about a stalker.
Only when
This social media video shows all 5 women in the kitchen of the house they shared. We're learning that the killer, for some reason, bypassed the rooms where the 2 young survivors were sleeping.
Their story was they heard partying, they heard noise, but they just, as usual, said, there's partying going on. They
Say what? Mark Furman?
locked the door.
Another mystery, where was Kaylee's dog the night of the killings? Why didn't his barking wake everyone up? Autopsies on the 4 students found each had multiple stab wounds. Some of information is fueling fear.
They keep saying
Small state highway patrol department. It's too small.
The upper body area.
The father of Xana Kernodle says her wounds show she fought for her life.
Bruises, maybe hurt by the knife or whatever. She's a tough kid. Whatever she wanted to do, she could do it.
And we're learning that another victim, Madison Mogan, had planned to spend Thanksgiving with the family of her boyfriend, Jake Schreiger. His mother says his world has been turned upside down. There's growing anger over the progress of the investigation in Moscow, Idaho. Madison Mogan's aunt says the lack of information, statements from left field, and lack of outreach to the public to gain information has made this even more painful. On a typical weeknight, Main Street in this small college town is bustling, but not tonight. So many people are fearful over these 4 brutal homicides that many students have left campus and returned home, leaving Moscow, Idaho, a virtual ghost town. I found University of Idaho student Grace Martin, who lives across the street from the murder scene, as she joined the exodus of students heading home.
Living next to the crime scene, it feels very dark. Like there's kind of a spirit of death around a bit.
Abigail Spencer, news editor of the campus newspaper, says the lack of information is fueling fear.
they keep saying it's an isolated incident, but if we don't have an idea of who it is, nobody knows what to look out for, and no one knows how to keep them.
Small state highway patrol department. It's too small. They just don't have the kind of history of dealing with mass murder like the FBI does. So the fact that the FBI is on this thing makes me feel a lot more comfortable. But the FBI should have been on this thing on day 2, day 1. But
do the line of work that you do,
yeah,
would you at this point hire a private investigator?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I would have an army of people interviewing every single person that my kids knew, and that any one of these 4 kids knew, families, friends, and trying to find somebody, trying to find out some information. Who's missing?
Yeah, who hasn't been around? Who's
hasn't
been acting different?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely who's been acting differently. But, from a profiling standpoint, this is going to be an introverted person.
Okay. The first thing that any web sleuth is going to tell you immediately when a case, pops up in mainstream media and starts circulating is everybody scours to get a hold of everything that they can as far as social media goes. You want the victim's social media. You want, people that they're friends with. They just tell you to scour social media. They'll start screen recording, downloading, saving, basically getting everything you can that's on the web before it's off the web.
Probably does not make eye contact with many people.
As that's happening, I also like to pay attention to, what's actually being said. Pay attention to the first initial reports that are coming out, and
a single
paying
person,
attention to that, because I've noticed over time that people like to run with stories, whether they are real or right or not vetted sources, whatever it may be. There's also sometimes that stuff gets out that shouldn't get out. So getting a hold of all the initial reports on a case with the mainstream media, possibly being able to, grab an interview from somebody that maybe said too much, especially if it's, law enforcement that's close to the case, a parent not realizing, I shouldn't have said that because a detective didn't say, hey, we don't want to give out this information. We want to make sure that we can get a conviction. So a lot of stuff that comes out in the initial stages of a case is either wrong, okay, or it's actually prior privied information. That's what I've realized during my web sleuthing days, is that either it's completely wrong information, or it's something actually really, really special and private. And when you find stuff like that, you want to make sure you set that aside to then compare down the road. While that's happening, all right, guys, welcome back to chat. Love the combo. Thank you for the super sticker there, G McGee. Thank you for that. Again, you guys just caught a little bit of this, a little bit of that in terms of episode 1 that drops on Sunday. They will be dropping on Sunday and Monday nights. They're 30 minutes. Each episode's roughly between 30 and 37 minutes. So, and, it's from a web sleuth perspective, and what I did and the people that surround myself on Team Truth and Transparency have helped with, and when we did those things and why. So there's a lot of behind the scenes that people don't know about, and this is just a in-depth look at that, comparing what mainstream media does and what like a web sleuth, I guess you could say, would do. And my version is that there truly is no difference. There's just a budget difference. But credibility comes from the people that you have, on your program, on your broadcast. And so, but that's only part of the broadcast. If you're actually doing investigative and research, that's the other half of it. And that's the half that that's where I think my strength is. I had to learn how to edit and do all of this crap that I'm just like, are you kidding me? This takes hours. So you guys get to see the blooper reels on a lot of that stuff. Like when my mic gets like muted and I'm just talking to myself. Yeah, like those type of moments. So, but I think that there is no difference except for the budget difference. There's a budget issue. In this case, captivated the nation and kept captivating the nation. I'm telling you, due to the world having a bunch of logical people saying things aren't making sense, but also the world having a bunch of people that are gullible. So you have half that are gullible and you have half that are like, wait, none of this is making sense. And then when you have people covering it and, mass amounts of people covering it, it's then going to come out to play the game of is who you got to sort out what's fact, what's not fact. And normally you can rely on, law enforcement. Remember, come to our channel. This is where, if you don't hear it from us, don't believe it. You guys remember that? If you don't get it from our YouTube channel and you don't get it from what we put out in the press release, don't believe it. Are you kidding me? Now you have the audacity to say that, though. Well, the PCA proves that what you were putting out is not fact. Okay? So, but it is what it is, and that's how I've treated the different episodes. And I'll show little glimpses of all the different videos I've done along the way, the dates that they happen, and then what was transpiring, in the police world and what was transpiring in mainstream media and things like that. So again, I want to show you guys, the big take on this white Elantra with the, where is it? Last part here, and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys if you guys have thoughts and questions. And I mean, I don't have all the answers, but we can definitely talk about some stuff and close it out that way. Where's the one that I wanted to show? Oh, there it was.
Is there anything that you've seen from some of the pictures that I've been showing you tonight, the TikToks that you've seen, the images from the truck, the map that we laid out of their last movements, anything that stands out to you that forensically might give us a clue?
Well, you see victims who all appear to be normal college students having a good time. There's no obvious bad blood. They seem to be, as you pointed out, having the time of their lives, doing normal things. No toxic relationships that are apparent between them. And that's going to be important to understand, who it is that might be in their universe that may have targeted them. Because this definitely appears to be a targeted attack by somebody with a lot of venom, a lot of hatred, and very resolved about what they were going to do. Because make no mistake, using a knife for a crime like this is a very intense, angry act. And like was pointed out earlier, that offender or offenders, they are going to be injured because when all that blood gets on the knife, they're going to be cutting themselves. They're going to leave a lot of evidence behind. But what's striking about this social media is there are no indicators that there was anything about them other than the fact that they were happy that could have created envy or angered somebody who felt like, how dare they be so happy? So this is what I take from those social media posts.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And
somebody who felt like, how dare they be so happy? So this is.
Now, that's exactly what Scott Rutter said that they wanted, this person that did this wanted what they had, which was like the friendships, and they didn't have that. And that's interesting.
What I take from those social media posts.
Thank you for watching.
And obviously, the other thing I took from this is their take from it is that you would be injured. The person that did this would be injured. I've talked to a couple different people in the field, and they've said that, which I thought was a really good point. Scott made it. And he said that, you know, you stabbing over and over and over, if it was a bunch of stabs, there's going to be bruising. Maybe you don't cut yourself, but I would think that your hand would be bruised. Your hand's going to be really bruised. And then you have other people that say, well, because of the type of guard that was on that knife, that's why you're not cutting yourself. Also, what type of gloves, you know, was this person wearing? But knowing now what we know, I haven't had Scott back on since stuff coming out. And now with what we know, I would love to actually have Scott tell you, hey, do you still believe in what you said originally? Or do you possibly think that this could be something else in terms of his one person incel type? Because I never agreed with Scott in that aspect, because something always just seemed off with me about this. And I think it was the timeline, but also like the fact that there was survivors, and was that part of the message? But who leaves witnesses? Who in the world leaves witnesses? And then I said to myself, well, maybe they weren't killed because they weren't there, you know? And the fact of then when you break down the social media and you notice that, okay, Dylan's room is on the second floor. I know she's on the second floor. That's her freaking room because of everything that we broke down social media wise. And it would be like, why are all these people fighting the fact that if you see pictures and you see it, like, why can't you believe it? Why? Oh my God, that could be a room that they use in the house to get ready. Everything that's in this room is Dylan's. Where is everybody else's? It's not there. You know what I mean? It's just like, but you're going to have those type of people that are, you know, always going to be out there, you know, saying that stuff. But again, I'm just going to sit here and tell you that when something is something, it's something. Like if you have the right person and you have the evidence, awesome. You don't need to play games. You don't need to, I mean, law enforcement can lie. Get that through your heads. Law enforcement can lie, but you have to ask yourselves, why are they lying? Why not be just saying things that you can't talk about? Say that's part of the investigation. That's part of the investigation. You need to ask yourself, you know, why? Pictures don't lie. I'm with you, Lana. And I'm going to tell you where these pictures are going to come in very, very handy is basically I think we have a very, very creative PCA in the way that it's worded about you would think that Payne went through and as he saw the people, he was, you know, referencing that. And it was like the order that he saw them. So one would think that the way that he says it, that the first body he pretty much came to was Xana's. Well, how is that possible if Xana, if Ethan was the one in the doorway? And I think, I mean, you guys should have those documents as well. Let's see here. Bonbon, you're not probably the only one that thinks that. It's going to be very, very telling what goes on with all of this. Yep, we need to ask questions. Julie, why would law enforcement just let a teacher that just murdered 4 students go back and teach for the remainder of the semester? I'd be furious as a parent. Yeah. Yeah. Right? Think about that. Audrey Hake says, yep, there is so much doubt. So much doubt. So much doubt, and law enforcement, isn't helping with that doubt. And so you feel bad for the community of Moscow is really who you feel bad for. You feel bad for the victims and their families. And you just got to keep asking yourself this question. Why does Kaylee's parents want the gag order to be removed, basically? Why do they still want information? And there's only one reason. Because they're not buying it. You would just shut it down. You would, trust this investigation and stuff like that. But how can you trust something that doesn't make sense? I mean, that's like someone telling me that 2 + 2 = 5, and I'm going to sit here and be like, okay, sure, okay. No, well, just watch. Let me prove to you that 2 + 2 = 5. I'll show you. No, I'm going to say no. Like, no, it doesn't. I don't need to sit here and wait for it either, because by the time that happens, then, I lost all the proof that I could possibly have to show you that 2 + 2 = 4. So, I'm good. Mama of 2BB says, I'm glad family has PI and lawyer. Yep. Hopefully they, keep that. You guys, that testimony in court is going to be crazy. That's going to just be crazy to me. I think both Bethany and Dylan's testimony in court is going to be crazy. Because we do remember it. We remember people saying that they went down and went to bed at 1, and yeah, they thought they heard people up there, but it was just like partying or something, and they didn't really want to party. And they were tired and they went to bed, so they just locked their doors. You guys remember hearing that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, none of that is true. None of that is true. To the point that Bill Thompson basically told us on November 18th that the 2 surviving witnesses heard things and saw things. Then the police department went apeshit and said, and had to walk all that back and said there was miscommunication. And that whatever, like, he was saying that one of them was definitely targeted and all that crap. Well, how did your prosecutor get it so wrong, right? You guys remember that? I mean, now do you what do you believe? You believe that there really was a miscommunication, or do you believe that no, he was just speaking thinking like, what's the problem saying that? Or was Bill Thompson not privy to this behind the scene talks that was, going on? Bill Thompson was there. Why is the coroner's hanging out, doesn't get in until 5 or 5:30? Coroner's, told things. The Emmy and the coroner are 2 different people in this case, and it's just, yeah. And guys, you don't open a door. You don't open the door and then just stand there. If I get out of bed, I go somewhere. I don't just open my door and stand there and just look around like this. If I think I hear something, I open up my door and I walk out of my room, or I even say something like, hey, what's going on over there? What the hell are you guys doing? What is that? You know what I mean? And you would then you'd be right there. And so you think that happened and this person was spared? Okay. Could they have been? Absolutely. But why? Why don't you ask the question is why were they spared? I'm gonna just walk right past you. Who cares? And then you don't just do that once. You don't just do that twice, but you do that 3 times that you open up a door to the point that, like, if you were frozen and you wouldn't even remember that, how many times you opened the door. That would be all a blur. All of it would be a blur to you. God, wait, did I open it one time? Okay, I got up and I did what? Okay, I got up and I opened the door. Okay, then you did what? Well, then I just stood there. And then I went back. You just opened the door and you just stood there? Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I stopped hearing anything. But did you like leave out of your room? No, I just opened the door. Yeah, then I just got back into bed. And then I was just on my phone. And then I thought I heard like crying or something. And then I got back up and I walked back out of my door. Okay, wait, what do you mean you walked out? Well, I opened up my door again. I didn't like walk out. I just opened it up. Okay. And then what'd you do? I just went back in my bed. Why? Well, because I didn't hear anything anymore. Okay. Then what did you do? Well, then I was on my phone some more. And then what? Well, then I heard crying again. And this time it was crying because I heard it. I thought I heard crying the second time. So then I got up out of my bed again and I opened up the door again. Okay. And then what did you do? Well, then I saw this guy in all black coming towards me and I froze and he just walked past me and he just walked out the door, out the slider. Did you see it? Like, what do you mean he had all black on? Yeah, he was dressed in all black. He had like a mask on. Like, he had bushy eyebrows. So I remember, so you looked in his eyes. Did you step outside the door? I don't remember. I know that he had bushy eyebrows and then I just froze. He just walked past and went out the slider. Okay, so then what did you do? I didn't hear any noises anymore, so I just went. I don't know. Then I just panicked. I went in my room, I locked the door, and I just got in bed and I went to bed. And then I don't know, like I woke up in the morning, I thought I was just dreaming because I had taken like some of my sleeping pills because I've had like, nightmares my whole for a long time. And okay. I mean, do you hear this? Do you hear this? So you didn't sleep downstairs, you slept upstairs? I mean, do you think that she said this originally? Do you think that it was something else? And then they came back to this because they're like, guys, this doesn't make sense. Like, what do y'all think? And it just like, when you actually like sit there, it's going to be like, so then you came out of your room and the second floor, there's only one bathroom on the second floor and that's over by Xana's room. Did you go to use that bathroom? Is that like, how did, so it's, and I think you gotta mix it in with this part of it for me. When you take the totality of everything that night, how could everything go so, in my eyes, perfect for the killer or killers to the point that literally no DNA is there except on some sheath off of touch DNA. He doesn't cut himself or she or possibly multiple people. They don't cut themselves. There's no blood there of theirs. There's, no sign of forced entry. You have 4 people there. Nobody calls 911. Or I'm sorry, you have 6 people there. The time frame that, okay, this person happened to come right into the house right when everybody was in their separate rooms. Like, and they were Talk about just woo. Everything going perfect. Except for what? Wait. This touch DNA that leads back to that actually leads back to nowhere because they didn't have anything to test it against. So they start tracking down a vehicle that, well, let's even back up one step further. Nobody's screaming. None of the roommates call 911 because they don't hear anything. So nobody calls 911 right when it happened. I mean, think about all the things that just went perfect for this killer that went in there. In terms of that, the only thing that you have, you have a DoorDash that was there. They didn't see this person. There's no blood that you can see from the naked eye that's outside of the house. You have all these people's DNA in that house because it was a party house. But then, I mean, 2 people are sleeping in 2 different rooms, and then there's a person in each of the other rooms, but the killer attacks the people that are paired up in the same room versus people that are by themselves in a room. How would you know that you'd be able to take out the 2 people and that they were drunk and passed out, or that they'd be like, I mean, just think about all of this. And when you really truly think about this, wow, wait, he really did. Like, there's 6 people in that house, possibly more, but let's just say there's 6, and doesn't go for the people that are in the rooms that are singly occupied, but goes into the rooms where there's dual occupancy for the chance to have one of those people call 911. One of those people possibly, while you're trying to kill somebody, one of the 2, that they're able to, attack you. Like, how do you know that none of these people have a gun that they could have grabbed and shot you? Because they weren't sleeping, right? Ethan and Xana weren't sleeping. You're able to get on top of somebody or come from the side of a bed and stab and there not to be that much coming back when somebody is sleeping, but not when 2 people are in a room and they aren't sleeping, meaning Ethan and Xana. So how is this all happening? No one's screaming. No one's doing anything. I mean, and the only thing that is literally at that crime scene is touch DNA on a sheath that we don't even know if the sheath matches the murder weapon, if it fits. We don't know. And you have surveillance around the house that shows different cars during a different period of time, that since 911 wasn't called, and since the girls are over here saying that, well, they just went back to bed, Dylan just going back to bed, even after seeing that person, because what do you think at any point in time she said, well, people dress up like that all the time and they just, joke around with us and whatever. So that's why I thought it was not a big deal. But then, like, I didn't know. So you just did what? Well, yeah, then I'm scared to call the cops because I don't want the cops coming here because we had drugs here, or, God knows what she's going to say, or I didn't want any problems. We don't want to get in trouble. We don't get fined. And, you don't think to come out of that room and just, all she would have had to do, if she would have peeked around the corner, she would have seen that body that allegedly was laying right there, because that hallway is not long. All she would have had to do is come out into the living room. But you know what I do when someone's being loud? I text somebody. I scream, like saying, shut up, I'm trying to go to bed. Like, I'm not getting my ass out of bed unless I'm confronting somebody, unless I'm going to them to say, dude, I've just said how many times to shut up. What are you guys doing down here? What is going on? Knock it off. I'm trying to go to bed. It's 4:00 in the morning. That is what you do. You don't open up a door to then do nothing 3 times. And anybody that says that they would do that as a 20-year-old, I call bullshit. At the very least, you are going to take your cell phone and you're going to say, what the heck's going on? Or you're going to ask your other roommate, hey, do you hear that? You're going to do something. It's 2022. You use your phone. Everybody uses their phone. Hey, mom, bring me up some popcorn, because you don't even want to walk downstairs to ask that. I'll just text, hey, or I'll just call one of my, hey, when you're coming up, can you bring me up a snack? Come on, man. So I just think it hurts my brain to see people that, yeah, could Brian Kohlberger be this crazy person and was on his ready, set way to try to be a serial killer? Sure. But that would require you to ignore half of a profile. You would hear a profiler tell you, does Brian Kohlberger fit? Could he kill 4 people with a knife? Yes. Would he do X, Y, and Z though? No. He wouldn't have made all these driving and looping ways. He wouldn't have drove his own car there. Those are things that don't fit his profile. So you can't have it both ways. Now, what it looks like to me is 2 profiles. Now, it looks that way to me because it was staged to be that way, or that it is, in fact, 2 people. But I believe if you ask, and when it comes out, you ask criminal profilers to profile this in terms of what is actually all there, and they're going to say, yeah, does Brian Kohlberger fit certain parts of this? Absolutely. But does he fit it all? Negative. No, he doesn't. There's too many of these variables that, like I said, in my opinion, everything went way too perfect when you're dealing with a house that is jumping all the time. And that I believe that Brian Kohlberger wouldn't have gotten caught. That this digital, following around some silly Elantra because you saw it circling in an area, that's what the kids do in that area. They walk around all the time. They drive their vehicles late at night. And to try to trace that one white Elantra back, then when there were 650,000 white Elantras that were made from 2011 to 2013, they don't have a license plate. They don't have this. They don't have that. What's the ties where Brian comes from? You would need a name. It's just, And then you mix it in with the Moscow Police Department wanting to put out that they're just falsehoods, when they could have just said, like, no, we can't talk about this. We can't talk about that. So the biggest white herring in this case to me is the white Elantra. I think it's even a bigger red herring than the sheath, which is going to come out. Blood dries quickly, guys. I'm curious to see how much blood is on that sheath. I'm curious to see if it fits the length of the knife, with all that stuff. And for them putting this time of crime between 4 and 4:25, you move that time, and you talk about the stuff now that they're talking about. And remember, could somebody go in and just stab somebody and 4 people and be in and out in that portion of time. Yes, if they were sleeping. They're not sleeping. You would never put suspect vehicle 1 if there wasn't a 2. That's 101. Everybody out there says, Lana, the PCA is only part of it. Well, I believe that they had to take multiple attempts to try to get him arrested. So I would like to know how many times they attempted with an affidavit where they had to keep tweaking it until one was accepted. That's what I think. Star Sorcerer, thank you so much for becoming a member here at Truth and Transparency. We appreciate you. So you move that time of crime outside of 4 and 425, because remember, they were saying, you know, I would hone in on Kaylee and Maddie and the use of their cell phones not being used anymore after 2:52 a.m. So why wasn't Kaylee using her phone anymore? Why? I think the defense is going to argue that she's dead. But you move that time of crime outside of that 4. Like, think about it. By the time you had to park that vehicle, get in the house, do what you're doing, and then get back in your vehicle, and then be back and see. That's 4:04 on a camera, 4:20. But you had to then go park. You got to give it a couple more minutes. So you're getting in that house at like what, 4:07 to 4:17. That's 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes to go into a home like that. Everything goes so perfectly. No one calls 911. No one screams. People are awake when you kill them. There's a gruesome fight on floor number 2 in the same bedroom. The same people were the ones fighting. It wasn't like it was opposite rooms. But the 2 people that are by themselves, not in the same room together, you would think the easiest to take down because it's just them. They're totally unharmed. But the people that were together in bedrooms, they were the ones killed. I would think that the most accessible bedroom in that place, which was Dylan's, it was literally passed up how many times? It's just crazy. Again, the white Elantra doesn't commit murder. A person commits murder or people commit murder. Like, whoever did this, they need to be caught. If it's Brian Kohlberger and they have him, you know, I hope they have the evidence. If there's multiple people, I hope that the world would want them as well. So anybody saying that I think Brian Kohlberger is innocent, then you don't listen to a word I say. I just simply ask questions when 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. I ask questions. You know what's funny too? The police kept saying that there's we're trying to prevent rumors, so we're coming out here to, like, you know, hey, no, the hoodie guy was not involved. This isn't going on. This isn't going on. We're preventing the rumors. Motherfuckers, you started these rumors. You started these rumors. Like, someone in your freaking force is who do you think's leaking this information? Come on, man. Come on. Oh. Let's just end this rumor. Well, can we end a rumor too? Was Dylan on the first floor or the second floor? Because y'all started the rumor. Please. Thank you, Blue Eyed Peach. A source supposedly close to Dylan said she wasn't in a frozen stage and didn't get a good look at the person that left. She opened her door to yell at Ethan and Xana to be quiet and closed and locked the door to go back to bed. That makes a lot more sense, in my opinion, because this PCA is fluffed for what you would call the fix is in type of thing, but who knows? I think phone records are going to be interesting. So, and you guys, it could also be that Dylan isn't lying. How about this? What if an officer tells you that this is what you're going to say? Who's to say that any of these people weren't confidential informants to begin with in some type of capacity? What is going on? And I don't think that it should just be on Dylan, because we have no idea what Dylan saw, didn't see, said, didn't say, because the police put that in the PCA. Dylan didn't write that. Dylan didn't write that PCA up. The police did. Law enforcement wrote that up. So as far as I'm concerned, if I'm Dylan, I'd be scared shitless, first of all, if the police are like, yeah, she could be lying because she's afraid. Exactly. Just like Mabbit. Mabbit was told what to say, right? You think that Mabbit's over there just sitting there? Yeah, they were in their beds. She's like, this is what you're going to say, or you're going to be, it's so for all we know, what she originally said, that she was downstairs on the first floor, that could have been the truth. I didn't stay upstairs in the second floor because it's always the rowdiest. So I went downstairs to just sleep in Bethany's bed. Like, I do that all the time when it's too rowdy there. But then they realized that her bedroom is on the second floor. And they're like, okay, here, if you say XYZ, let me tell you what happens. You're going to start telling me what we want to hear, or we're thinking that you're involved. You guys, go watch the Adnan Syed case. Jay Wilds, that's exactly what happened. Jay Wilds was basically, he's the one that testified against Adnan, saying that Adnan, that was the Haman Lee, overturned this past year, Baltimore, Maryland. It's exactly what happened. The police got Jay Wilds to say X, Y, and Z, and that's how they were able to convict, Adnan Syed. And here, 20 years later, he was able to get out. And it's a miracle, to be honest, that he was able to get out. But it was because Baltimore changed a law. And he had one of the best advocates in Rabia Shab. So, anyways, oh, please. Then that's going to time you out there. He is innocent as F is what he was. Innocent. Man is innocent. It was not political at all to release him. But moving on. You are, yes, we want everybody involved. So as far as everybody out there that wants to hate on Dylan or what they think Dylan's story is, guys, we don't even know what Dylan's story is. Dylan's never, ever come out and talked publicly to anybody. The police have done it for her. And so we see what the police have put in here. How many things have they put in here that's just complete bullshit? So as far as I'm concerned, Dylan's not a liar. Dylan, for all we know, she might not have freaking been there. And if Dylan happens to watch this, feel free to call me. Feel free to email me. But if you're scared, go talk to the FBI. Go talk to somebody. Like, you need, tell that to your lawyer. If you've been told to say something or anything like that. But we don't know. We don't know what Dylan, we truly don't know. We truly don't know. We can think things, but I've witnessed what the police in Moscow have done with this case. So, homegirl Dylan, give me a jingle. Heather, I think a lot of people would agree with that. I don't trust anyone in this case. Absolutely. Show me I want to see proof. Show me some phone records. Show me this, show me that. Show me that y'all don't have cars. I want to see your cars. I want to see your cars. Hit us up, Dylan. Look at shit. You guys are great. All right, that's going to wrap it up. I got to keep my voice, as they say. For those of you guys that just joined as members, I do appreciate that. That is awesome. Consider becoming a subscriber of the channel. If you're watching, it's free to do. You just go and you just click the little subscribe button. You just click. It's free. And consider being a member. That's what supports the channel. To be able to dump all the time into it. This endless hours of editing, tell you that. Thank you to the moderators, all the mods that were here tonight. Keep special prayers for one of Mod Squad's best friends. So keep special prayers there. God bless your path too. God bless all of us. Always love shaking it up with you guys on Friday nights. You guys are my new date night. What about the gag order? The gag order is intact. The Gonsalves' attorneys, fighting it. I think that the media should be fighting it. So convenient, huh? A gag order for what? A gag order for what? Oh, so that Colbert can get a fair trial? Is that what we think it's about? We'll see. Well, that kind of went out the window when all the stuff happened, from jump of his arrest. But Debbie, thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you. You guys are great. But yeah, it's totally free. And then also you guys decide if you enjoyed the show, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs it down. Make yourself known. Use your voice, use your thumbs. And yes, everybody is always innocent until proven guilty. And everything on this channel is my opinion, and it is alleged by myself and those involved with my channel. Again, thank you. Consider getting some TNT merch always. You gotta love it. Thank you there, Gwen. There you go. Yep. Thanks, Jen. Good to see you over here. Again, thank you. Can't say thank you enough. And we will we'll see you on Sunday. Go ahead and hit that reminder. The thumbnail is already up for the Sunday episode 1. So see you then. Take care of one another. Be kind and chat love.